welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages.
That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash.
Yeah.
Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
down one with only a couple. Matthew Ryan says he can't hear us.
Yeah, we're back though.
We are? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
But they're down, one with only a couple seconds left. Their captain, Alex Caravan, at the line, almost a 90% free throw shooter, misses both free throws. So, I mean, at the least, you were thinking he was going to make one, probably make both, take the lead. It was just shocking that he did that. Villanova ends up getting fouled, and they miss the second of the free throw. They try a full court heave. I think Caravan misses it. Game over. So UConn dropping to 12-4, 4-1 in conference. So just recently back in the top 10. Probably will find themselves out. Just a tough loss. But it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like, oh, it's all over now. But it was a loss that shouldn't have happened.
Do you think they're three-peating?
It's still too early to tell. I think without McNeely, that's tough. I think this team...
Why, he's hurt? He's out?
Yeah, he's out for a couple weeks. This team is going to improve as the season goes on. And I said this from day one, with UConn, it just wasn't going to be as easy as it's been the last couple of years. So it's still possible, but the difference is compared to the last couple of years, there's just so much more competition. So many teams are in your neighborhood where last season it was like they're not even close. Like you just have an absolute gauntlet. That's really the difference. But guys like Ball, I think too, will improve, as the season goes on. But I have to say too, like I know he's had some good games, and I think he's even a mid-season All-American, but expecting a little more out of Caravan. Stepping in full-time now for Klingon, who, was a first-round pick of Portland. You look at his numbers from last year where he was basically a six-man, I believe, 13.3 points per game, 5.1 rebounds. This year, he's playing almost 4 more minutes, but he's only averaging 15.9, so only 2.6 more points per game. And the rebounds are actually 0.1 less. So that's surprising. I think they need him to play bigger. I mean, his three-point shooting has went up a little bit, 41% versus 37.9. But I just think, the three-point shots are good. But, UConn, you look at the calling cards of all their championship teams. It's being strong in the middle, having that defensive enforcer. Terrace Reed, helps him with that. He played 19 minutes last night and had 2 blocks. And Jalen Stewart also had 14 points and 2 blocks as well.
It was stuck for a second.
I think just, if you could get more consistent play down low and do a better job of defensively.
Oh, no, he just has it at that speed. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good. Just not turn the ball over. I mean, you turn the ball over, you're not going to win. So I know they're going to be fine, but it's just one of those things. It's one of those things you wish you had a do-over on because at the end of the day that it shouldn't have happened. And
who's the biggest threat?
Biggest threat, just like in the country?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of teams, and it's interesting. I think Tennessee, I believe when the rankings came out, was number 1, but they just lost by like 20. I think that was them anyway. Actually, let me just see this for a second.
An injured Cub.
Yes, it was them. So they were 14-0, but then they lost by 30 at Florida, who's number 8. So I don't think it's like necessarily one team. Duke is very good as well. Cooper Flagg, I know you're familiar with him. You also, just looking at the top 10 here, Auburn's number 2. You got Iowa State, Alabama, Kentucky. Marquette is right now the top team in the Big East, just over UConn. So those are going to be some good games when they play. I mentioned Florida, and then you have Texas A&M, and even at 11, Kansas, who was the preseason number 1. So I think a lot is yet to be sorted out. And I was just going to say, too, their upcoming schedule, there's some challenges there. You're at Georgetown. Georgetown has been great. Ed Cooley, we know. But they have been, dormant in the Big East the last couple of years. But they have an outstanding record. And really, I mean, especially if they were to beat UConn, they would be ranked. They're 12-3. So they almost have the same record as UConn.
Crazy.
Last time out, they did lose to Marquette on the road by 8. But before that, they beat Xavier, they beat Seton Hall, and they beat Creighton. So this is a team to be reckoned with. So that I think that's going to be a really good game. That's going to be Saturday at 2:00. So UConn, quick turnaround because college, sometimes you have like a week off or longer. So that's a game they got to get ready for. Then they'll have a full week off before they go to Creighton. So as they get into the meat of this, Big East schedule, really, these are important games to win. And last night was tough, and it's a game you can't get back, but it's a game ultimately you can learn from. McNeely will be back. You might have to wait a couple weeks. But I think the biggest thing is limit the turnovers, be strong down low, and you need more out of Karaban. He's your captain. So, let's see what happens. But I know, they're going to be just fine because, as Michael Bucket would say, that man, Dan Hurley. I see we did just get a huge influx, Michael, of comments if you want to get to those.
Yes, we have a few. I know you saw Matthew saying, "Great hoodie, Barnes. Too bad they suck." LOL. Then we have Nathan saying, "What's up, everyone? How have you been? Happy New Year to you and your family. Keep up the great work, everyone. Sorry I haven't been joining. We have been busy covering games and doing events with athletes." Anthony says, "Great hoodie, Brian."
And notice Anthony, I think a little more of an optimistic soul rather than Matthew saying they suck ass.
Yeah.
Anthony
just said that's not funny, Matt. And then Nathan says our recent events were with Johnny Manziel, Fletcher Cox, and Brent Kellick. We should all do a collaboration soon. This college basketball season has been interesting so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's wide open. That's for sure. So I can't wait to see the rest of the season. It's so funny. It just made me think of it because of like what we were just saying about like Tony's like perception versus what Matt said. And then Mark just texted me, and I always talk about this, like before the playoffs started, he likes Ohio State. They're favored to win now. Wanted to fire the coach and not even watch the games. And they just said, I actually need to read the exact text here because it's just kind of funny. He always does this with the Yankees as well. UConn blows. Very much a letdown right now. It's like, bro, I mean, listen, they should have won last night, but it's like, again, like they're going to be okay. And he can't get over every time I mention the fact that you lost all this talent, multiple first-round picks last couple of years. He's just like, no, but I still expect them to be better. Like, they still should be able to figure it out. Well, like, it's not that easy. Like you don't just lose a bunch of guys from a team that was dominant for 2 straight years and then just, like, think everything's going to be copacetic, Michael. I mean, it's just kind of crazy expectations.
Well, people are just jealous and they're haters, and they're just waiting for the top dog to fall.
Right.
So
right.
And someone like him, Ohio State, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so they haven't won ever.
Whoa.
In a long time.
Football.
For football.
Yeah,
I thought we were talking
they're
college
good.
basketball.
No. But I was just making like the comparison.
Yeah.
With the sports. But football, they've been good, but they haven't won. I don't know. Maybe it's been 6 years, something like that. But a tradition-rich, school. It's interesting, and we're gonna actually get to our predictions shortly on that, Nathan, regarding the game tonight. But I have to say, like what Matt was doing, and kind of like what you were saying. I understand. It's funny because I feel like I'm kind of like poking fun at Tony, but I definitely, as specifically with the Yankees, lean towards the more optimistic side. But for whatever reason, and that's with every team I like. But for the Jets, it's like. That just isn't there, though.
I mean, it's tough with them.
But I think they've driven me to that point. You know what I mean? So you understand that. And where I am with the Rangers now is I know it's a long shot, especially that like anything like would really come of this season. Like even if you were somehow to sneak in as like the last wild card, it's just like. I just think if they could make some moves, that would be better. And it's like they've been scoring more, but the defenses have been poor. But it's just like They still got to make more moves, and there's just not time. Like you're running out of time, and it's going to be so disappointing. Obviously, just another year going by of not winning the Stanley Cup, but just to not make the playoffs, like that is tough. Having dealt with that with the Yankees a couple years ago, it's different. Like, okay, you lose in the playoffs, but you're kind of further along in the offseason. But to not even make the playoffs and how long that offseason feels, like Tony. Like, talk about being in shambles. Like, that will be a tough one.
I mean, hockey is so much fun when they're in it.
Oh, my God. No. It's just like the playoff games, like the last couple of years. That's been great. And, like, sure, yeah, I'll still watch the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's not like me watching baseball playoffs where it's like I don't really want to. But, of course, as you can imagine, it's not even close to the same.
No, I know.
By the way, shout out to Tony and you, because I know this is your coffee as well. I did try the French vanilla. Of course, no sugar today, but it's French vanilla and cream. Have to say, a lot better than the Simply Nutty.
Oh, okay.
But it's weird. It's like it should be the same because they bought the trademark, but like it seems like Tiffany says the better Simply Nutty, which how could there be a different one? I don't know.
I feel like their coffees are different now.
You think that's what it is? And it's like, even though the names are the same, it's a different variation. 'Cause it's been a while since they did the buyout.
Yeah.
So just wanted to mention that about UConn. Like I said, they'll be back, in action on Saturday versus Georgetown, and that's a game you definitely want to win. That's for sure. But Nathan mentioned it, the first of two semifinal games for the college football playoff tonight. The Orange Bowl. Miami Gardens, home of the Dolphins, of course, Matthew's favorite franchise. So this, seems like a very close matchup here. Obviously, Notre Dame only favored by 1.5. Total set at 45.5. Both teams are in the top 15 for both scoring defense and rushing offense. So talk about like old school, nostalgic, and then you think about the old coaches, Art Parsegian, Joe Paterno. These are two teams that were the who's who, as Tony would like to say, of college football way back. Both teams have not won, or I even think. Both teams have not won since the 80s. I know Notre Dame was in the BCS National Championship game, got shellacked by Alabama back in 2013 before all those wins were vacated because of some ineligible players under the Brian Kelly era. It's been a while since they've been in the spotlight, and just the record. I think it's something to the effect of like James Franklin as a top 10 team versus a top 10 team is like 3-10. That's the Nittany Lions head coach. So he's trying to, shake that stigma. And when you look at Notre Dame, like I said, it's just been a while since they've been in a big spot. But listen, I mean, sure, Indiana, that seems like, kind of more of a cakewalk type of game, even though Indiana was really good this year, just lost 2 of their last 3 games, unfortunately for them. But to beat Georgia, SEC team, backup quarterback and all, but they dominated that game with their defense, and they didn't even have, their star running back, Julian Love. Riley Leonard did a great job running the ball. And he doesn't pass as much as like Drew Aller, the Penn State quarterback, does, but what he does with his legs is very impressive. And the fact too that even though he's not passing the ball a lot, he had passed for just under 2,400 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 picks, but he makes the right decisions, as evident by the low number of interceptions. His QBR is a 77.5. You think about all the teams, all the quarterbacks in America, that's in the top 20, which is pretty good. So he's making the right decisions. And then, of course, he's very dangerous with his legs. He ran for 15 rushing touchdowns this season at Notre Dame, 831 yards overall on the ground, averaging 5.6 yards per carry. For Notre Dame to win, I mean, I think it's really the defense as a whole, and I know they have some prospects that potentially are going to be in the first round. I think their safety, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL. But the defense as a whole, doing the job that they've done all season long, and then just the Leonard and Love show. What they can do on the ground, and can Riley Leonard, when he needs to, on a 3rd and 5, a 3rd and 6, a 3rd and 8, or a 4th and 3, if he needs to make a throw, can he do it if the run isn't there? Because obviously we know, he prefers to run. And also, what's Jeremiah Love going to look like? He left the game last time out with an injury. They do say he's full go here. He only had 6 carries in that game versus Georgia for 19 yards. But the previous playoff game versus the University of Indiana, he had 8 carries for 108 yards, including a 98-yard touchdown. So obviously the talent's there. And on the season, he had 16 rushing touchdowns, 7.3 yards per carry, and was just over 1,000 yards at 1,076. So those are the keys, for Notre Dame, and I definitely feel like too Marcus Freeman, is one of the best coaches, in America. Just not even just the X's and O's, but I think culture wise, because Brian Kelly kind of left that program swiftly. He was the coach there for a while. Freeman takes over right away, and it seems like he's set the tone and has really worked so hard to bring that sense of, tradition back to the University of Notre Dame, which has been lacking. Like I said, I mean, they're a team, you always think going way back, oh, yeah, they're one of the most historic, nostalgic franchises, almost like, the Yankees of the college football world. And, that's a long time to go without winning. And obviously, having those higher academic standards, has always posed a problem because, some of the top athletes just aren't able to get the grades, that they need to do. But I think he's done an outstanding job. Also, Al Golden, who was the former Temple and Miami coach, is, their defensive coordinator. He's done a great job, and he's in the running to win one of the top assistant of the country awards this year. So he's a guy maybe too we'll get back in the head coaching realm possibly this coaching cycle. But if you look at the other side of the field here, we mentioned Franklin, the poor record, against the top 10 teams as a top 10 team. Technically last time out did play Boise State, who's number 3, but we know, they play in the Mountain West. So it was just a different type of game. They beat them by 17. They beat SMU by 28. So those were their 2 playoff games. And if you look at when they lost this year, it was when they were playing the good teams. They lost to Ohio State by a touchdown. And then in the Big Ten title game, they lost by 8 to Oregon, who obviously we know, just got roughed up by Ohio State last week. And then other than that, you think about the wins, looking at just ranked teams here, the only ranked team in the regular season that they beat was Illinois. So they haven't done it against the big teams. But then I know Notre Dame's schedule, hasn't been a gauntlet either. But, the wins in the playoff, against Indiana and Georgia were good. So, there's a lot to consider here. And you could say, offensively, there's more of a sense of balance for Penn State. Drew Aller, who I guess they're saying is going to go back to school, but, would probably be in a thinner quarterback class, one of the top draft picks this coming April. Passed for almost 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 picks, and, had a quarterback rating of 157.2. And when you look at it from QBR, 78.1. So very similar to what Riley Leonard, was able to do, but difference being good decisions, but also passing the ball more. And he has the benefit of 2 1,000-yard rushers. Katrin Allen had 1,026, 8 touchdowns, and then Nicholas Singleton had 1,015 and 9 touchdowns. So, they're of course able to run the ball effectively as well. And if you look at Allen, last game against Boise, 134 yards on the ground. So torched a team like Boise, who, metric-wise, ranked out with some of the best in the country in stopping the run. But to have that two-headed attack, a strong defense, and then a quarterback like Aller is not afraid to throw the ball, that's a lot. But Notre Dame, without Golden, running that defense, is up for the challenge. So that's why the total, I think, is set at 45.5. Usually these college games, a lot of them are well over 50. A lot more scoring that we see. But I think the reason being, even though, Aller can throw the ball pretty good, and he also has an NFL tight end in Tyler Warren, who had 1158, receiving 98 touchdowns this senior. 8 touchdowns receiving. So a lot of weapons for him. But I just think this is a really good matchup. I think this is going to be a really close game. And I'm really looking forward to watching it. I believe it's going to get underway, if I'm not mistaken, at 7:30 on ESPN. And, of course, the winner will go to the college football playoff national championship game. And, yes, it is 7:30 on ESPN. Like I said, the Orange Bowl. While I was kind of doing our synopsis there, Michael, did we get – I see Josh B. Was there anything else there?
Just Josh. He said, what up, fam? Today is Thirsty Thursday. LMAO, hashtag TCA, hashtag Sportsport, hashtag DTV.
Poking fun at himself. And, yeah, that's why I have a little Sambuca in here, right, Michael?
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. Too early for that. But that gets
That's what Tony's doing today.
Oh, yeah. You know, he's hammered at a cafe near you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so getting to the prediction here, Michael. Like I said, tight game, 45.5 is the number. I think even though that's a low number, I like the under here just because you have teams that like to run the football. I mean, between the both teams, we have 3 1,000-yard rushers, plus Riley Leonard ran for 800 yards, so you easily could have had a fourth. So it's not a lot of like big plays, chunk plays through the airs. You know, this is grinding out long drives, good defense, fundamental football. Just looking at the prediction here, I think this is going to be a tight first half. I could see, maybe Penn State maybe being up 13-10. And then we get to the second half and a lot of running of the football. I think both teams easily will rush for, $150, I would say, on the ground. And then I think we get a very low second half in terms of scoring. And I think Notre Dame, Al Golden, that's why he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, makes the adjustments, shutting out Penn State in the second half. And I think they end up winning this game 20-13. So give me the Fighting Irish and the under. And like I said, their first national championship game appearance since 2013. So it's been a while. One step away, Marcus Freeman would be from returning this program to the levels that everybody got to know, during the early stages of college football and up through the 80s. So that's going to be exciting. And then I'm sure Tony will have a lot to say. Tomorrow we'll talk about the matchup between Ohio State and Texas. Right now, just to give everybody an idea there, that one, by the way, being played at Jerry World. Ohio State -6, total set at 53.5. Tony lying through his teeth right now, by the way, saying he's not hammered. Did he say something else?
Yeah, he said, I wish I was, though.
Oh, man.
He wants to go to the horseshoe tonight.
Oh, so he's going to have a dozen, basically, at the
Yeah,
horseshoe.
especially because Jeff's working.
Oh, my God. Does he go shots with Jeff or no?
They do sometimes.
Oh, man, the shots, man. Especially the following morning, you're planning on getting up at 6. How could you? Tony just I feel like he says that it doesn't bother him. I don't believe him.
I know.
I really don't believe him.
I know.
I think it's just one of those things because I get it because I am always one of those things growing up and I still do it now. Someone, oh, you okay? You need this? Oh, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm used to saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like with shots, there's something I don't know, unless you're getting IV injection in the morning, especially if you're having a couple of shots and then having 10 beers, you're not feeling great.
Maybe he's just so used to it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I mean, it's truly remarkable. I see Tommy is in the building.
Yes. Keep doubting me, Brian. First of all, Anthony says. Tommy says, let's go Irish. Price, Love, and Leonard for $250 on the ground.
Wow. So Tommy riled for the Fighting Irish. Seems like, in terms of the TCA, from what I've seen in the chats and with JD, a lot of Fighting Irish fans. So it's nostalgic, and this is what, college football is all about. So I'm really looking forward to watching that game later. And then Josh B, one more.
Some people are just built different.
Why do you think Josh B is drinking White Claws? You know what I mean? He's not taking shots.
No, he's not built that way. No, definitely not.
Oh man, that is funny stuff for sure.
I just think with the White Claws, you have to drink so many to feel anything.
Yeah, no,
and the taste doesn't like do it to do that many to get the buzz. But I mean, he likes them, so.
Well, and it's interesting, and I've mentioned this many times. When they first came out with the black cherry, they did, but then when other stuff came out that was better, it was just different. But yeah, it definitely would sneak up on you because it's like it's almost it's almost like in a way drinking like a juice, a soda. So it's like it just catches up with you very quickly. But, back in the day, like when those first came out, I mean, we used to easily, 10, 12 plus. And it's
me and Tony obviously used to, that is not true,
Mr.
Michael.
McGillicuddy.
Yeah, I mean, we'd rip the 10 pack of McGillicuddies. Does it go more than that? Because if it is, we do, or else Tony would just get 2 then maybe.
Yeah, he definitely would get 2. Definitely would get 2.
We would hammer those. The long drinks became one of the go-tos for the taste to alcohol ratio. And then, obviously the espresso martinis.
Oh my God. Yeah. Those
are amazing.
Legendary. Yes. I would say, if not my favorite, one of my favorite drinks of all time.
Wait, not the pina coladas?
On the beach bars.
He's definitely hurting or something. His stomach.
Oh, yeah.
He did say he can't wait to sleep after a long day.
Oh, yeah. He's sleeping still. Still. You know what I always found funny too? Like if you're talking to I don't know, I guess really this would only be at like a doctor, I guess, but it's like just one of those things like what you're talking about. You have one of those long nights, like the numbers kind of get high. Not that it's anything like, you're need to be hospitalized or something.
Yeah.
But you go to the doctor and they ask like, oh yeah, like how many drinks would you say you have a week? And like if you say like, like around 20, like it's like
you're an alcoholic.
Alarm,
Yeah.
So like I feel like everybody does this. You kind of like dial it back. So you go, yeah, like maybe like 5 to 10.
Yeah. No, when I was drinking, I definitely lied to my doctor about that for sure.
It's just like crazy. But I guess it's just one of those things like obviously like it is like a little obsessive, but we all have just that time in life where, we kind of do that, younger, having a good time. Mm-hmm. And then as you get older, then it's just like a more of like an occasional type of thing. Mm-hmm. And that
not for Tony though.
Yeah.
Tony is just never going to slow down, I think.
Yeah. No,
and he comes in the next day like it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, sometimes I don't bring the coffee until like after the show.
And I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm just hungry. I'm freaking starving.
Oh my God. Just too funny. But yeah, I feel like too the difference is for me now is like when I was younger, like, oh yeah, like it's sick, like we're just chilling at home. No, but like just chilling at home. Oh yeah, let's get a 30 and like just watch a game. But now it's more like really it's only happening like if we're like going out to the bar watching the game or going to a game. But like
there's no
need. That's like oh yeah, like
let's just have a 30 and
like,
vodka.
And like the feeling again, Tony acts like it doesn't exist. Josh B, a grizzled vet himself, knows it, but like the feeling at the end of the night, the next day, it just sucks. Mm-hmm. Like there's just no
the come down is just horrible.
Yeah, there's no window dressing.
You have to keep going
and going.
Yes.
And going one more time. So that's just kind of funny. But like I said, 7:30 ESPN Orange Bowl. So we'll recap that tomorrow and then talk about Friday night's Goodyear Cotton Bowl. So I hope Tony is doing his research as he's sipping on a chocolate mocha.
Oh, did he say that?
I'm just taking a guess.
Definitely.
I have no idea where he even is, to be honest. I'm just kind of like throwing it out
I don't know. I'm trying to guess. He's probably at
Wake Up.
No. What's the other Candlewood? I'm assuming he likes to go there for some weird reason. It has to do something with the staff probably and the sisters that work there.
He picked out one of them that he's kind of got his eyes on. Or?
He's always has his eye on somebody
searching, basically.
Always searching.
Yeah, but hey, I mean that's not really a surprise, is it, Michael?
No.
So excited for that. But let's move along here and let's go to the world of the National Hockey League.
Speed, here he comes. McDavid shoots, top shelf, he scores! Captain with the overtime winner. That's the middle, quick, and Cameron. It's a world-class hit right here. Tomsky stepping, rink Wellington made the full split save.
Are you kidding me?
Turn, side of the net, between the legs, and they score! Filthy! David Pastrnak, the silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
right. So a little bit of a lighter night on the ice last night. More games tonight. There's supposed to be 4, but only 3, with the Kings game being postponed due to the wildfires. So just taking a look at these games, 2 went exactly the way we thought. 1, was definitely a big surprise. And as I always say when I hear that song, hearing it playing NHL last night, just miss hearing that song with good vibes, Michael. Just,
I know.
Especially being there, having a dozen. I mean, there's really just nothing like it. Especially there's a period where they score 3 in 10 minutes. It's the best feeling in the world. So,
and they're playing for something.
Exactly. So all of us Ranger fans just hoping for the miracle turnaround. But we'll have to wait.
Do you think it's going to happen?
I think it'll only happen if they rip off the Tony the Tiger Band-Aid and get rid of guys.
No, but this team is so good, though.
No, the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have to do anything.
No,
but can I just figure it out? We just let's just see them trip over their feet for another month and then maybe do something, right? Yeah. No, but that's what it comes down to. I have 3 guys circled. I mentioned it to Tony yesterday. I just think Mika, Miller, and Kreider. Just get them out. Start the new wave of Rangers, because now we have this thing Artie's been there a while. Obviously Igor's been there a while. Zibanejad's been there a while. Kreider's been there a while. But why not start a new thing with and Fox is still younger, so he can be part of that group. And then having Berard and having Will Cooley and having Philip Hedl, having those guys be the glue guys and future of this organization. I think that's what they need to do. And I know Tony's mentioned about it's hockey, you can have older players. Look at what Ovechkin's doing, sure, but I think that's more of an outlier than the norm. And I just think having speed, having physicality, and having desire, clearly the desire is not there for a few Rangers this year. And that's very disappointing, of course. One team and one guy that's had the desire this year is Alex Ovechkin in the Washington Capitals.
Did he score again?
He did not score again, but he was part of a win, a 2-1 home victory over Vancouver, improving Washington's record here to 27-10-4, including an impressive 14-4-3 mark at home in D.C., and a Tony favorite, Pierre-Luc Dubois. Dubois, I think that used to be the soundbite, whatever it was. Had 2 goals, one in the first, which was his 6th, to give them a 1-0 lead. Garland for Vancouver did answer back in the second to make it 1-1, but then Dubois, the game winner in overtime to give Washington that 2-1 lead. Vancouver has been going through it. The injuries, now 18, 12, and 10. But
it's crazy Ovechkin's playing right now after him breaking his leg.
Just, built differently. Differently. And, he's getting help, too, from his surrounding teammates, which really helps. We mentioned about Dubois having the 2 goals, but Logan Thompson, the former netminder for Vegas, 30 of 31 in net. That plays. And, they're just getting a lot of support. Obviously, Tom Wilson still laying the big hits. So that was the first game of the night. The first of a doubleheader on TNT. We saw the Blackhawks with a surprising 3-1 victory over the Colorado Avalanche. So, Chicago coming into this game was only 8-11 at home, 13-25 overall, 13-25-2. But somehow they beat an Avalanche team that after this game is still 25-16-1, including 13-8 away from Colorado. And how do you win a game like this? You get outstanding goaltending. As Pete Mazurik, did a really good job. The grizzled vet, 35 of 36 in net. And this is a game, too, where, we see Colorado with Parsonen score about 6.5 minutes into the first period. And then the rest of the game, Chicago does all the scoring. McHeave, which I'm sure Tommy will have to help me out with, scored his 8th to tie it at 1. 3 minutes left in the first. Bedard with his 26 assists on that one. And then you got a Nazar goal in the second to make it 2-1. And then Bedard padding that lead in the third, his 11th goal this season. So we've seen him score recently, hoping that he, picks it up because, he's one of those guys, just like with the Rangers, they're younger guys. This, Bedard, he's one of the guys that we expect to be the future of the league. And, he hasn't been doing a ton, and obviously hasn't had a ton of help. But it does seem like he's kind of finding his footing more, and you hope that not only Chicago does better, so eventually, we could see him in the playoffs sooner rather than later, but he just gets some help around, because I think that'll really lend to, him playing his best hockey that we have not seen just yet. And then last game of the night, a chalk result here. It took a little bit. We had a scoreless first period and a 1-0 game after 2. Panthers pull away in the third to beat Utah here 4-1 to improve to 25-15-2. 13-7-1 away from Sunrise here. Utah falling to 17-16-7, 5-8-4 at home. Bravowski, the grizzled vet, the Stanley Cup winner from last season, a vintage performance here. 26 of 27. So doing a good job in net, and in terms of scoring, Reinhart, his 23rd of the season was the first goal of this game, a power play goal, and then they get Jesper Bokvist had his 8th and 9th, one of the latter on an empty netter in the third, and then E2 Lustarian also had his 7th on an empty netter, the lone goal for Utah coming from Logan Cooley, his 11th, a power play goal. But yeah, just not, a surprising result. I know Utah has played some teams tough this year, but more so those are kind of the middle of the pack teams, not the upper end, like Florida, who had been struggling, but to no surprise of anybody here, just returning to form, especially showing, that they were the far stronger team in this scenario. So like I mentioned, there is, a lot of games tonight. So just looking at it, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 games tonight after only having 3 last night. So a busy night in the ice. And before we do the frenzy, just want to revisit here. We mentioned the Rangers hosting the New Jersey Devils. The Devils coming into this game 25-15-3, 13-9 away from the Rock. Rangers 18-20-2, including a mark of 8-9-2 at Madison Square Garden, which is very porous. And recent results of these teams, Devils just snapped a 4-game losing streak, winning 3-2 against Seattle on the 6th. And then 2 days ago, we had the Ranger collapse there, blowing a 3-0 lead to lose to Dallas 5-4 in overtime. Going into this game, obviously Igor still on IR, and I actually want to check daily face-off here. I was kind of thinking with the West Coast trip coming up that maybe it's a I had to get the sip of coffee, Michael. Maybe it's a spicy pork spot, but just let's see what we got on daily face-off here. This is showing that Igor is confirmed. Okay, so I'm guessing then they'll save him maybe the opening game there on the road trip, but it's Igor. Markstrom unconfirmed, but you would imagine rivalry game, that they would, want him out here. Wait, and actually, okay, so I didn't realize that Igor was actually coming back for this game. Okay, that's big. I kind of that was a little oversight on my part. So that would mean then that Louis Domingue would be back to Hartford. And we got Kreider on IR. And I know Hedl left the game. It's saying though that they're expecting him to come back. That would be big. He's been decent this year. Obviously, he's had some injuries, so he's missed a little time. 10 goals and 7 assists. And let's see, 1 day ago will not be at practice. So I don't know. They're expecting him to play according to ESPN.com. But that would be big. The 25-year-old, would be a big lift to this offense. Obviously, having Igor back is a lift as well, just in time for this game against the Devils. And it's a game that you really want to have because the Devils, Michael, talk about an embarrassment. If I outscored you 10-1 the first 2 games of this matchup this year, it's like they're playing Marty and the boys.
You hate to see that.
Yeah. So, it's tough to go into this game tonight and feel optimistic. But obviously, like I told you, I always tend to lead on that side. I think the difference just with me and Tony is I do think, though, it's like, you gotta wake up and make some moves. So that's the only thing. So you might win tonight. I mean, obviously you gave Dallas a fight for a little bit. Can you build on that? I mean, offensively you've been scoring more. Igor back, the defense would be better, you would think. But the only problem is Markstrom has been one of the best goalies in the league this year. 28-2, 3 shutouts, 2.17 goals against, and 911 save percentage. While Igor 11-15-1, only 1 shutout, a 310 goals against, and a save percentage of 906. So as he comes back from injury here,
You think the team's tight with Igor?
Upon those numbers. I don't think
holding
so. Well, he didn't hold out, though. You know what I mean? He just did, declined the contract extension to get a bigger deal. Why? You're thinking so, or are you just trying to get Tony
I
tight?
don't know. I feel like they've been playing better without him.
I mean, they've been scoring more,
Right.
but the defense,
Like they looked more enthusiastic with Quick, trying to get him his 400th win. Is it?
yeah, no, and I know that Quick is popular in that locker room, but I don't think that Igor is the issue. I mean, the way, sure, I understand you. Anybody could say, well, he wants all this money, but like, what has he done? He hasn't won. Like, you understand that. But I think, there's only so many goalies in the league. And I think they ended up getting, a decent extension done. I think, he was maybe even looking for more. So it's just one of those things. Because I honestly was suggesting like, oh, maybe trade him, this and that. But it's like, I mean, I think you would have a tough time. Like, we think we're having a tough time now. If it was like a full season of Quick and Domingue, I think they're good off the bench. But as a starter, you need Igor to be dialed in. And he has been dialed in at times, but we need it right now. So, I mean, Igor, we're expecting nothing from the best here, Tony. And what was the 2 comments here? By the way, hello,
Hi.
Mary.
Yes, she says hi, and then Tony says Mike always tries to get me tight, and then he says I'm going to look enthusiastic when Igor gets the shutout tonight.
Listen, would love to see it. Not expecting it, but would love to see it. So yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna have to either do a VPN or hopefully I can get my parents' cable login because I definitely want to watch that. Coinciding with the college football game. And like I said, there's a bunch of other games tonight, 10 in total. Michael, before we start, Tony, what did he say? Oh, he says, "Hi, Mom."
You can be more happy to say to my mom, guys.
I feel like there was something wrong there. That's him searching, no?
I think so.
Yeah, because we're always gracious to Mrs. Materiello, who's always returned the favor when we see her. So
100%.
we appreciate the food, the camaraderie,
Yes.
the home vibes, nothing like that.
Nothing
on
better.
The island. But Michael,
The only island.
the city, you mean, dude, right?
Yeah.
But let's strike up the music. Let's do a Thursday edition of the Frozen Frenzy. All right, so starting in Canada, the Canadian Tire Center has a matchup of the Buffalo Sabres and the Ottawa Senators. Total set at 5.5. Ottawa minus 165 on the money line. Buffalo plus 140. Buffalo, coming off a 4-3 shootout win against Washington. Senators struggling a bit here. Losers of 4 out of 5. Last time out, lost in overtime to Detroit. And the only time these two teams played back in November, we saw the Sabres win 5-1. And while the Sabres, I will acknowledge, did play a good game, and ultimately, that was a big surprise, beating Washington. As I always do my typical cord kick out. Have to do it at least one per show.
That's all right.
I expect them to return to the team that we've seen struggle all season long. So while, they're not perfect and they are without, Ullmark here. So Forsberg will get the start. He hasn't been great. I think they still are the better team. Brady Tkachuk, if we could somehow work out that deal to get him over here, that's the guy we need, Michael. So I'm going to say Ottawa wins this one, pulling away late with an empty netter. Tkachuk, 2 goals and an assist, 4-2 Ottawa. So give me Ottawa in the over for our first game of 10 here on a Thursday. Next game up, Amalie Arena, Tampa Bay Lightning, Boston Bruins. Tampa minus 170. Boston struggling a little bit this year.
will be plus 145 on the money line. The total set at 5.5 here. And when you look at the recent play of these two teams who have not played yet this year, Lightning just snapped that 4-game losing streak with a 3-2 win over Carolina 2 days ago. Boston on a bit of a schneid here, losers of 5 in a row. And I think, unfortunately for the Boston faithful, I think they're making that 6 tonight. Just wanted to take a look here in terms of the starting goalies. Looks like we are going to have Vasilevsky and Swayman unconfirmed, but that looks like the plan. So, maybe tight early, almost really similar to the previous game. Maybe one more goal here. I could see Gensel, Braden Point, and Kucherov all having goals in this one, and maybe an empty netter late to make it more decisive. But give me the Lightning 5-2. So we're going to go Lightning in the over. So 2 overs to start here on a Thursday. Next game up, the biggest game of the night, Madison Square Garden. The Rangers, 18-20-2, matched up with the Devils, 25-15-3. New Jersey, minus 155 on the money line. New York, plus 135. Obviously, we talked about Devils coming off that win against the Kraken. The Rangers, the tough loss at home 2 days ago to Dallas. And it's just one of those things. Igor back. You're hoping, that kind of gives them some energy that is needed. And just the fact, too, that you've been embarrassed by this team. So what are you going to do your third game? You're going to get embarrassed again? Is it going to be batting practice again? Or are you going to come up with a fight? Maybe get in some fights, show some resilience, and show the team that you should be, but you haven't been. So while I am not confident in saying this, while the total also is at 6.5 here, I'm going to say the Rangers pull out a tight one. And like Tony said, we need Igor at his best. Not the shutout, Tony. I think that's getting a little too crazy. But I think the Rangers win this game 3-2, 2-2 after 2, scoreless third period. So we go to overtime. And I'm going to say we get Adam Fox, who has not scored this season, if I'm not mistaken. I just want to double check this. But with the game winner, 1 goal this season, 30 assists. So has been setting the table. But so give me Rangers and the under. So 3 down here, 7 to go here on a Thursday. We have the Flyers. Wells Fargo Center, a place Michael has frequented before for the 76ers. We were just talking about that last night. Home dogs here, plus 135, going up against the Dallas Stars. We talked about it last time out, beating the Rangers. Philadelphia, has been hanging around this year, but just does seem to struggle with the top opponents. And looking at their last 5 games, they only win against San Jose. So 1-4 in their last 5. Dallas on a little bit of a heater, 5 straight wins. So I think this is an easy win for Dallas. And I think defensively they play well. I would imagine that Ottinger gets the start here to really keep them at bay. And it will be Urson for the Flyers. Ottinger unconfirmed, but I'm guessing he goes. He's been great this year, 2.41, 908 save. So I'm going to actually say a Tony shutout, a road shutout for Dallas. I'm going to say they win 4-0. Give me Dallas and the under. So moving along here, next game up from Pittsburgh, the former, favorite team of Michael Butka, matched up here with the Oilers. How about Edmonton? Talk about disrespect to Sid the Kid. Minus 210 on the road. Pittsburgh plus 175, and obviously have been very much so, up and down the season, but have played well in Pittsburgh, 11-7-2, but have lost their last 4 games. Oilers have won their last 4 games. And I just want to check here in terms of the starting goalies. We are going to get, and I guess they have it further up on the list. Okay, so it looks like Nedeljkovic and then Stuart Skinner unconfirmed. So while the way they've played doesn't lead me to believe that this will happen, sometimes it's just a law of averages situation. I think there's a little disrespect here. The Penguins, the heavy home underdogs, And then, you have someone like Connor McDavid, the future New York Ranger, going against Sidney Crosby, who felt, for years and years and years, he's been the face of the league. But, McDavid trying to snag that away from him. But I think Sid the Kid has something to say about that. A shocking overtime win to snap that losing streak. And yes, as I always do with the Pittsburgh wins, the Crosby and Malkin goals. Crosby with 2, including the game winner in overtime. Give me the Penguins with the upset. The Penguins and the over. So that should be a fun game there in Pittsburgh. Next up on the docket, Columbus, the Jackets, 18-7-6, hosting the Kraken, 17-21-3. Seattle, slight favorites here, -125. Columbus, +105. And our total here is set at 6.5. And is our buddy Merzlikins starting? Have they listed it yet? And I feel like this is like daily faceoff sometimes out of order for the games here. I just want to check this one more time. So, why is this not up here? That's crazy. I've never seen a game not up on the screen here for daily faceoff. Okay, no, we do have it here. Merzlikins getting the start. He's confirmed. Joey Decord unconfirmed. But definitely Columbus. I'm sure Tony is thinking the same thing. He's been big on them this season. Kind of one of the surprise teams. Slight underdogs here, +105. I think take the under as well. And you look at it too. Kraken won the last game 5-2 back in November. But Blue Jackets at home getting their revenge. So I'm going to say they win this game by the final score of 3-1. So give me Columbus and the under. So moving along here, next game up, we have a matchup between the Carolina Hurricanes at the Lenovo Center, Raleigh, North Carolina, faced off against the Maple Leafs, 27-13-2, one of the best records in the National Hockey League here. All the star power in this game. And you look at the total here, set at 5.5, which is interesting. And taking a look at the starting tenders, we have a matchup in net between Joseph Wall and Piotr Kochekov, 2 goalies who have done a nice job this season. Wall 14-6-0, 2.46-915. Kochekov 15-9-1, 2.50. Only difference here, Maple Leafs have won their last 5. Hurricanes have lost 2 out of their last 3, 3 out of their last 5. So a tough matchup. Carolina really getting a lot of love here, -170. So I'm guessing that's just because of the fact that, Toronto's on a bender here. Carolina have been struggling. Maybe they return to their ways. 15-5 at the Lenovo Center. Of course, that's got to be one of the best records in the league. But I'm going to still say Toronto. I don't know. I think they're really playing well this year. That's evident with their 27 wins. So I think we get a shootout as well. I know the total's low at 5.5, but I'm going to say Toronto wins here 5-3. And I'm going to say we get a Austin Matthews, empty netter for the 2-goal margin here. So give me Maple Leafs and the over, and that should be a fun one. Like I said, a lot of star power out on the ice at the Lenovo Center. Next game up, final 3. We're going to St. Louis, the Enterprise Center. We have the Blues, -190 here, 19-9-4, versus the Ducks, who are +160, 17-8-5. I know Tony already knows what I'm thinking here. Obviously, we've been very high on the Ducks this year. Recently, they've won 3 of their last 5 games, lost a heartbreaker to Calgary 3-2 in overtime last time out. And, both teams obviously similar records, but I just like the hockey that the Ducks have been playing recently. By the way, Blues have dropped their last 2, and these teams have not played yet this season. And I'm going to say a close game, but I think Anaheim, the value, the road dog at +160, winning this game 3-2. And how about a blast from the past here? Jacob Trouba with the game winner here in St. Louis. So give me Ducks and the under. So 2 to go here as we move to another 8 o'clock game here. Minnesota, the Excel Center, the Wild, 26-11-4, 11-8-1 at home, matched up with the Colorado Avalanche, who are on the back-to-back here, 25-16-1. Colorado, despite being on the back-to-back, minus 135. Minnesota, plus 115. This season, these teams have not matched up, and they still have 4 matchups, so 3 more after tonight. Wild have been hot. Winners of 4 straight. Avalanche have won 4 out of 5. And the total is set at 5.5. So this is an interesting one, and obviously Colorado also went with a goalie making his NHL debut last night, so that might have played into the loss. Blackwood confirmed. Gustafsson unconfirmed, but expected to go. He's been great this year. 18-6-3, 2-3-1, 922 save percentage. And then you look at Blackwood, 13-10 and 4, 258, 918. So this is really a toss-up here. But I'm going to go with Colorado to bounce back. Minnesota's been great. But just something tells me a little animosity there after dropping that one in Chicago, trying to turn around this road trip. So I think this is a close game. I think a high-scoring game as well. How about a Nathan McKinnon hat trick? So let's say Colorado wins 5-4 in overtime. Cale Makar, the game winner, as we move to our last game of the night in fabulous Las Vegas. A matchup here between the Golden Knights, 28-9-3, 17-4 at T-Mobile Arena, minus 175. The Islanders plus 150, 15-8-7, 8-9-5 away from UBS Arena. The total set at 6.5 for this one. And these teams have not played yet this season. Islanders have lost 3 out of their last 4. Knights have won 4 out of their last 5. And, you know, when I take a look at this matchup, I just wanted to see, too, the goalies with that 6.5, if we have any backup tenders or what the scenario is. So it says Sorokin and Hill unconfirmed. Sorokin, 292 goals against, which is good, but an 898 save percentage, which you'd like to see a little higher, 12-13-4. Hill, 17-16-2, 2 shutouts as well, 2.58, 904. You know, it's just tough, especially against a good opponent on the road, complete other side of the country here, for me to take the Islanders, the body clock, playing a game at 10 Eastern. So I like Vegas in a big way here. I think they're going to win this game 6-3. And so it would be the Knights in the over. And I would say definitely do 2 points plus for Jack Eichel. I think he'll have a big game against the Islanders. But just like that, that is your Thursday Frozen Frenzy. So a lot of action out on the ice, and I'm pumped to watch the games later, and obviously hoping that there's a good one to watch at Madison Square Garden. And I guess Tony said, yeah, that's better. I don't know if we really do a rerun of the High Mary, or I think we just spoke of how we always are very kosher, would you say?
Yes, I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, like I said, let's get the dub tonight, and let's start there, Michael.
Yeah.
Got to start somewhere.
They're 2-2 in the new year.
2-2, so, you know, some optimism there. And let's see. So just wanted to mention, too, before we get to our final mosaic pack reveal here, just the NBA from last night. You know, the matchup of the night, we saw the Cavs over the Thunder, 129-122. The Cavs, like you said, nobody's talking about this.
I know.
32-4. That's like a historic mark here. 19-1. And I don't know if it's still called the Quicken Loans Arena, but I'm guessing that it is. And even the Thunder with this loss, 30-6, 13-4. So this could very well be a matchup that we see in the NBA Finals, and kind of a revival of teams that had big stars. Obviously, LeBron, Kyrie, KD, Westbrook, struggled for a little bit, but got the youth, the draft, the development stuff we talk about all the time.
Nobody wants to
do it. And are now back on top in Shea. Is it Shea or Shy? It's Shy, right? It is Shea.
Yeah.
But do people like kind of go back and forth with that or no? I know
sure
that's a proper pronunciation, but yeah, I always get confused with that. And it's actually called the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. But anyway, A lot of talent here. And my guy, Jared Allen, 25 points last night for the Cavs. I have to say, though, they surprised me more so than OKC. I mean, sure, OKC, you could say without Holmgren, it's surprising the level of success, Michael, but we know how good Shai is. But they just surprised me because, I know that, I knew Mitchell was good, but I didn't think
He was this good.
exactly. But I think
Also
the key
Garland.
is, well, that's what I was gonna say. The supporting cast. It's not just Mitchell,
Mobley.
Garland, Mobley, Allen.
Yep.
And then the fact that you have a strong bench. Like last night, Jerome had 15 points in 12 minutes. Max Struss with 17 and 26 as well. And then the fact that he didn't score, Michael, but he had a plus 12. What about Isaac Okoro? Right,
You won't see that with the Knicks.
Mr. Fundamentals. Who do you think's better?
Cleveland.
Even with Chet coming back
Yeah.
for Oklahoma City.
They have more size, more depth, I guess you could say, and they've been together longer. They've lost in the playoffs together.
Yeah. And then is it Kenny Atkinson is coaching them, right? The
Yeah,
former
and
Nets coach?
he's a great coach.
Yeah. Isn't Steve Nash better?
Oh, so much better. Tony says nobody's talking about it because the NBA, just like the city of Cleveland, sucks ass. He's tight.
What would you say better, the NBA or Cleveland?
NBA. Cleveland is horrible.
I know there's so much time left here in the season, but do you think we get this matchup in April? Or I guess no, the finals are in June. Yeah, June.
Gosh, maybe.
It's
Tough because the playoffs are so different. Milwaukee's getting hot.
Yeah, actually I haven't even taken a look. I know the standings. I know Boston's
They beat the
up
Spurs
there.
last night.
So Milwaukee 19-6 have won their last two. So Boston 5.5 games back of Cleveland 27-10. Knicks in third 25-13. Magic in fourth with all those guys.
Dude,
out.
and
Impressive.
Yeah, and Paolo's coming back Friday.
I did see that. Now what is it?
He's just like LeBron. He's a young LeBron.
Yeah, he's amazing. Saw him
Yeah.
get drafted.
Yeah.
Which is pretty
that
cool.
is sick.
But the Wagner twins, I think it's Mo is out for the year, but Franz is going to come back, and Franz is
the better
really,
one.
really good.
Yeah,
he's really good.
That's
The
a
younger
dynamic
brother.
duo. Matthew laughing, saying Clevelando, and then Tony saying, I honestly, which, you could just say, I would also say the NBA because we don't expect you to lie, Tony. And then Matthew says, sucking ass.
I'm just trying to think Cleveland. I mean, it's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Cavs, Guardians, Browns, and then what else are we doing really?
It's Bridgeport, basically. With
Because you
sports
have
teams.
been there.
No, I just have seen photos, and it just looks like a shithole.
Yeah. No, it doesn't seem like a place that you'd want to go. So yeah, that's what the Eastern Conference is looking like. And just taking a look at the West here, OKC in first, 30-6. Rockets second. Green, right?
Yep.
Young core there, 24-12.
You got a good coach.
Udoka, the affair. Memphis 24-13.
I don't think you lie all the time, Tony. I've been there.
No, you mean when he lies and says, "No, what do you mean, dude?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it sucks out." Why are you laughing?
Lots of undesirables. Yeah, exactly. What are you laughing at?
Oh shit. And then Denver in fourth. Interesting with Denver winning that title 2 years ago. You think a little fat and happy? I mean, I know Jokic is still balling.
Well, with Westbrook, they're I forgot the record, but it's very impressive in the starting lineup.
when he's starting.
Yeah.
But it's weird. I looked at his numbers the other day, and they're not great. But you think it's just the fundamental type of things, which wasn't always his
energy,
strong point. But
all that.
Jokic 31.5 points per game, 13 boards, and then Jamal Murray 19.4 points per game. And then Michael Porter, 19 points a game, a guy that I've always liked. Ross averaging 12.6 most of the year out of the bench, but I guess you're saying recently inserted in the starting lineup. Last two games, 26 points against Boston, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and then last game out, 19 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds. So some production there from Russ. It's crazy, that he continues to go. I just got this text, random thing. Do you ever get a text, and it's obviously some spam text, but the USPS can't deliver this.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I hate it.
They're just want you to click, let's get your social security number.
Yeah. I'm an idiot.
You know what I've been bad at recently? The spam calls. I usually would never pick up. Now I pick up, and then I go, Oh, hey, how's it going, man? How you trying to scam me today? Like, just like that. Like, I don't know. I'm just so like, how is that a thing? Like,
I know.
I don't understand it. And even like when it's not a scam, like, how is it a thing that you're paying somebody? You're gonna think you're gonna bother random people and they're gonna buy something from you? Like, I don't get it.
No, they're shot.
Do you think 90% of it is spam though, or no?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy though. Kind
It
of
really
crazy.
is.
And then, I did see too. I guess it was tight up until I guess they said midway through the third. Tony's hungry.
Matt asked how he's doing. He said he's hungry.
I'm pretty hungry myself. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But the Knicks end up winning 112-98 over the Raptors. Towns back in the lineup, 27 points, 13 boards, 3 steals. I think I heard on DNR they were saying the starting lineup all played between 34 and 38 minutes. And OG actually had a nice game, 27 points as well against his former team. Jalen with 13. Seems like since they got Towns, Brunson, I mean, his numbers are still there, but it's like, seems like he's kind of like the second option now.
I've always said he's not a number one.
Yeah, probably better that way, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely like him as a player.
Yeah.
And, like I said, those numbers are still good, but I know, like, there's one thing between, how well a player is doing and then that being like, oh, he's going to, like, lead them to a title, but I do feel like Towns has been kind of balling out this year. Like, best basketball of his career.
Yes, definitely. But still, it's not going to be enough. You'll see.
And 25.3, 14 rebounds, 3.3 assists. Towns still 29 years old, the number one pick back in 2015, and also shooting 45% from three-point range. One thing that I think is crazy, too, like all these guys that we watched in college and get drafted and stuff that were high picks, so many of, like, the big men, it was like Towns, for instance, like when he first came in and what he was doing in Kentucky, like it was actually like a joke that you would be expecting them to shoot three-pointers. And now, like, they're all able to do it, and most of them, like, pretty efficiently.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the league.
Yeah.
You got to be able to shoot threes.
So, yeah, that's kind of interesting. And then, we got a few games tonight. I don't know if anything really that crazy. Rockets, Grizzlies looks like it's okay. Magic, Timberwolves struggling this year. What do you think's going on there?
I don't know.
Randall tight. DiVincenzo not being used right.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the Timberwolves?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they definitely Randall is a problem.
Yeah.
It just always has been.
Yeah. Just like and how about the Suns? I know they've had injuries, but 16 and 19.
Dude, embarrassing.
I mean,
Beal to the bench.
But what is it? Also, is like KD just like a huge diva?
I mean,
because it seems like it just doesn't work anywhere other than like Curry in his prime with Clay and like Draymond playing great defense. Like,
no, definitely overrated as a leader.
And it's crazy because the talent is there, but it seems like I don't know, just that part he never wanted to put the effort in for whatever reason. That's really where we are there. So I guess, Michael, it's only fitting too that it's the Barnes and Michael, the last one. Who knows when we will have another mosaic pack reveal.
I'm pumped.
All right, and especially since me and you here. I mean, I honestly have to say I just can't see this going any other way. There's got to be at least one Hall of Famer in this pack, one special card. It's just a manifesto. We have it.
As he opens the pack.
The final time. Like Jim Nance's Final Four. Michael Buttka out of his seat somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. From the Brooklyn Nets, Nicholas Claxton. So one of the more underrated big men in the game.
Definitely.
A lot of people that haven't watched too much basketball don't even know who he is.
Right.
But he does a good job. So
he does.
That is a solid pull. Also from the Brooklyn Nets, the former San Antonio Spur, Lonnie Walker.
He's not even in the league right now.
So I would imagine probably playing overseas.
Yes. He says that overseas is harder than the NBA.
I mean, wouldn't doubt it. Defense. Here's a guy I think you'll like, young, up and coming, part of the post-Dame era in Portland. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What's his name? The point guard.
Shaedon.
Yes.
Sharp.
Yep.
So solid card there, a lot of future potential.
Definitely.
A guy that you've always liked, but it seems like he's fallen off the map a little bit. From the Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
Seems like we don't hear his name anymore.
No.
And we have, and it's so ironic. I knew there was going to be a future Hall of Famer. I called it,
You
as
did.
well as a City Edition card, Michael.
Wow.
From the Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant.
Wow.
Look at the shine.
That
and
looks sick.
Are you kidding me? This looks like we're doing special effects right now. Like, Tony, get out of your seat, Tony.
Yeah. Kevin Durant, Tony.
And to finish up, we had this card yesterday from the Miami Heat. Jamie Jaquez Jr.
That was funny when you said he's actually good.
He is.
Yeah.
I had it for fantasy last year.
Yeah, he's good.
So that's our 6-pack there. Claxton, Walker, Sharp, Halliburton, KD, and Jaquez Jr. But I have to say, that KD card,
Yeah.
Michael, that's a big pull.
Tony says, I'm up out of my seat. People are staring at me. Where are you, Tony?
Yeah, could you let us know where you are? What do you think? Like, people are going to, like, go stalk him or something? Like, you can't just tell us?
Like, we really don't care, but you could tell us.
Yeah. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But kind of as Tony would say, kind of a bittersweet moment here, Michael. The last.
We'll have
mosaic.
it- we'll
I
have
know,
it back for
we'll
sure.
Have it back. It just like, isn't it? It's just like a whole nother element.
It
I feel
is.
like when we have it on the sports board.
It definitely is.
The
Another
card pulls, it's amazing. So yeah.
Yeah,
great.
dude, people on the internet are crazy, he said.
People on the internet are crazy. Oh my God.
So you're not going to tell us?
What's your guess? You think definitely Candlewood?
Yeah.
Do you think he got a mocha?
He got definitely something there, and he won't eat there, so that's why he's hungry.
Oh, he won't eat there, really? Was there like a bad scenario or?
It's just like the food is trash.
But he's excuse me, he's okay with the Luigi salad though.
He's for some reason is. I don't know.
I can't believe like that food. You would think Tony, like harshest critic of anything.
One of Sammy's. He's at Candlewood. I knew it.
Wait, one of Sammy's?
No, I was just gonna say one of Sammy's Southport Greek pizzas is 3 Luigi's.
Are you kidding?
In terms of like,
Just how good it is, you're saying?
he said, "Oh my God, the fucking salad!" One time, it was like 3 times in a row.
When was the last time you guys had it?
Not the salad, but we've had Luigi's recently. Like,
Okay.
probably like last week or the week before.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's kind of funny. But I have to say, Michael, I feel like today just
Flew by.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, an hour. I can't believe it.
Yeah. And obviously, we'll have Tony
Back tomorrow.
back from Candlewood tomorrow, caffeinated, having his 10 cups of sugar in his coffee. And he'll be excited to break down the recap of the Notre
Rangers.
Dame Penn State game.
And the Rangers, yep.
And then
Hopefully it's a win for his sake, because I
yes.
feel like it's getting to him.
It is.
I mean, he was getting excited from a video game last night.
No, I know. No.
He even commented on the YouTube.
No, but
because he's so like he's just so
I understand
horny.
it though. I understand it because you know what I mean. Like I've had people like talk to me like I hate like you know what I hate when people say to me sometimes like they talk about the Yankees like basically diner wildcard game whatever is like the whole thing. I was like, oh well, like it's just a team. Like they don't know you. Like they don't pay your bills.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like-
the classic
like,
one.
Could you like a favor, like just a suggestion? Anybody wants to say it again? Just don't say it.
Yeah.
All right, it just makes it worse.
Yeah.
So I think everybody can understand that. But yeah, let's go Rangers tonight.
Saying
Pumped for the
great
college
show.
football.
Great show. Thanks, Tony.
Huge show tomorrow with the 6 wild card games.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Coming up this weekend. And also the postseason picks against the TCA.
It is getting to
really
him. I knew it.
Looking forward to that. And that's why we need a Ranger win the goal song off the jump for tomorrow's show. And I'm getting a little concerned. He says not much to look forward to me anymore.
Wow. I mean,
And how about this?
I mean, and
how about
you know-
this? I know we said we were going to say something like this, and this is very generic. But Tony, I promise you, tomorrow there's something for you to look forward to. I'm just leaving it at that.
yeah.
Nobody's saying anything.
No one's saying anything.
And then Josh B says revenge will be ours after the atrocious performance with the picks for the TCA this year with the crying emoji. But yeah, this has been fun, and really appreciate everybody who tuned in today and continues to comment, like, and subscribe. All of the archives on the YouTube page. Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jay in costume. The merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games. Let's go Rangers, and we will see you
Mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.